heaven just opened a door. Not a metaphor, not a distant dream, not something to wish for in the far-off future, but right now. Something has shifted. The energies of the universe, aligned with divine timing, have cracked open a passageway. For the chosen ones, this isn't merely symbolic. It's a real moment of transition. The heaviness you've carried, the shadows you've walked through, the silence that echoed back when you prayed with all your might, those weren't for nothing. This is the moment where all that pain begins to make sense. Heaven has opened a door, and if you are reading these words, you are being called to walk through it. The time for hiding in the background, doubting your light, or shrinking in fear is over. This is a calling that only few can hear, and even fewer are brave enough to answer. But those who do, those who feel that unmistakable nudge deep within, are about to cross a threshold they will never come back from. The air is different on the other side. The light is purer, and the purpose is clear. The world has never needed your soul more than it does right now. If you're here, it's not by accident, and if something inside you is stirring, that is your confirmation. This video is not just a message, it's a mirror, reflecting back to you the power and truth that already lives inside you. Watch this video until the end, not because it's expected, but because something incredible is ready to awaken in you. In the comments, write your warmest, most heartfelt wish, along with the number 77. That number isn't random. It holds vibrational power, a frequency that amplifies intention and aligns it with divine movement. Speak your wish aloud or in writing, not from desperation, but from the knowing that you are no longer whispering into a void. The universe is listening. Heaven just opened a door, and your voice is part of the energy that keeps it open. The road that led you here was not a straight line. It was full of curves, detours, valleys so deep you feared you'd never climb out. But every step was guiding you toward this very moment. When doors open from the higher realms, they don't do so with fanfare or spectacle. They open subtly, quietly, and only those with vision, not just sight, can see them. Many people will continue walking past the door, unaware. They'll carry on with the noise of the world, chasing distractions, ignoring the whispers of their own spirit. But not you. You've always known there was more. You've always felt different, misunderstood, isolated, even when surrounded by people. That was never a curse. It was preparation. The solitude refined your sensitivity, sharpened your intuition, and broke you open in all the ways necessary for the light to come through. And now, that very light is illuminating a path before you. All you have to do is say yes to it. You don't need to have everything figured out. The door doesn't require perfection. It only requires presence. The moment you say yes, the moment you decide to walk through it, things will begin to change around you. You'll feel it first in your inner world, a deeper sense of peace, clarity where there once was confusion, a release of the burdens you've carried for far too long. Then, the outer world will begin to reflect that shift. Doors will open in your career, relationships, finances, and soul purpose alignment. But this door isn't a reward. It's an initiation. Walking through it doesn't mean ease. It means expansion. It means becoming who you were always meant to be, in the face of fear, in the presence of pressure, in the fire of transformation. The chosen ones are not chosen because they are better. They are chosen because they say yes when others say no. They show up when others shrink back. They lean in when the fear screams at them to retreat. They walk by faith, even when their legs are shaking. They keep going, not because they never fall, but because they refuse to stay down. And that kind of courage, that kind of devotion, is what separates those who enter through the heavenly door from those who stand outside it, wondering what could have been. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. If you've been asking whether the struggle was worth it, the answer is being revealed now. Heaven just opened a door, and you are being handed the key, not to escape life, but to finally live it in truth. You may feel unworthy. That's normal. You may feel scared. That's human. But neither of those things are reasons to turn away. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing. Willing to believe that the divine sees something in you that the world never could. Willing to believe that you are not your mistakes, not your failures, not your past. Willing to believe that something greater is calling you into alignment with your truest essence. Every time you've doubted yourself, every time someone told you to be realistic, every time your dreams were laughed at, you were being trained, not punished, not rejected, but prepared. Because once this door opens, it will change everything, not instantly, not without work, but irreversibly. As you walk through this door, you are stepping into divine timing. And divine timing doesn't play by human rules. It isn't about the calendar. It's about the convergence of energy, spirit, and opportunity. That's why things that didn't work before are going to start working now. That's why connections you lost will suddenly reappear in ways you never expected. That's why your gifts will begin to flourish. Because the timing has ripened. The seed you planted in pain is now blossoming in purpose. And as it blooms, it brings with it not only healing for you, but healing for everyone your light touches. You were never meant to hide. You were meant to be seen, heard, felt. Not by everyone, but by those who need exactly what you carry. This is the beginning of a new chapter. Not one written for you, but one written with you. You are not a passive observer. You are a co-creator. As you walk through this door, you will begin to co-create a reality that reflects your soul's truth. That means letting go of what no longer aligns. Relationships, habits, thought patterns, anything that dims your light must be released. This is a sacred shedding, not a punishment. It's the universe making room for what belongs to you. What has always belonged to you but couldn't reach you because your hands were full of what was never meant to stay. You're going to lose things on this path, but you're not losing. You're exchanging. You're trading fear for faith, doubt for clarity, struggle for alignment. And the longer you walk this path, the more you will realize you're not alone. Others are walking through their own doors too. Some ahead of you, some behind, but all connected, all part of a greater tapestry being woven by divine design. And in this collective shift, the world itself begins to change. The more chosen ones who walk through their door, the more light floods into the collective consciousness. That's why your walk matters. That's why your yes matters. Because your transformation is not just for you. It's for all of us. When heaven opens a door, it doesn't come with loud announcements. It doesn't shake the earth in obvious ways, and it doesn't always show up in grand miracles at first. Often, it begins with something as quiet as a deep exhale, a moment of calm that feels out of place amidst chaos, a knowing, a calm awareness that something has changed, even if nothing looks different on the outside. That's how the divine speaks to the soul, through a language deeper than words, through feelings we can't explain. When you are chosen, this language becomes your first compass. And as you learn to trust it, the world starts bending around your belief. Doors open in places that once felt like brick walls. People arrive just as you need them. Ideas, clarity, and alignment become part of your daily experience. But it only begins when you stop waiting for proof and start walking in trust. You may feel torn between two worlds right now. One is the familiar world, the world you've known, with all its routines and expectations, the identity you've lived with, even if it never truly fit. The other is the unknown world, the one you're being called into. It feels expansive, wild, unfamiliar, yet deeply right. That's the paradox of spiritual awakening. It feels like remembering something you never consciously knew. This is the threshold, and standing at it can be confusing. Your old self will fight to keep its grip on you. It will raise doubts, pull out fear, whisper reasons to stay in the safe, known place. But your soul will be louder now. You'll feel the magnetic pull toward the truth, toward the divine, toward the version of you that's been waiting for this very moment to rise. Walking through the door is not about adding more to yourself. It's about releasing what is not you. The labels others gave you, the limitations you adopted, the wounds that tried to define you, these begin to fall away. And in their place, something beautiful is revealed, the authentic self. Not a perfected version, not a performance, but the you that has always been there under the noise. This version of you is not afraid of light. It does not apologize for existing. It does not shrink to fit. It glows. It leads. And as you begin to walk through life from this place, your very presence becomes a portal for others to find their own way. That is the real purpose of being chosen. Not status, not separation, but sacred service. You may begin to notice signs. They won't always make logical sense, but they will resonate with your spirit. Feathers, numbers, sudden insights, dreams that feel more like memories than imagination. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. The divine does not leave you stranded once the door opens. You will be guided step by step, even if only one step is revealed at a time. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You only need to take the step in front of you. As you do, the path will unfold. It won't always be easy, but it will always be true. And that truth will become your compass. When you live in truth, nothing can truly shake you. Not the opinions of others, not the uncertainty of the world, not the storms that may come. Because truth is unshakable, and you are being anchored in it now. There may be moments when you question everything. That's part of the process. Initiation always includes moments of uncertainty. You may find yourself wondering if you made the right decision, if you're actually walking through a divine door or just imagining things. But remember this: doubt is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of transformation. The mind resists what the soul already knows. Let the doubt pass through, but don't let it decide for you. You're learning a new way of being, a way where logic doesn't always lead, but spirit does. And as you adjust to this new way, grace will hold you. It will meet you where you are. It will not demand perfection. It will only ask for willingness. As you continue forward, you'll begin to notice that your desires shift. What once felt important begins to lose its pull. What once felt unreachable begins to move toward you effortlessly. That's because when heaven opens a door, it aligns your external life with your internal truth. You're no longer chasing what the world says you should want. You're attracting what your soul has always needed. And the deeper you go into this alignment, the more everything around you begins to change. People who once doubted you may fall away. Environments that once felt normal may begin to feel toxic. You are not losing your life. You are outgrowing it. And the pain of that shedding is not a sign to turn back. It's a sign to go deeper. The world around you may not understand what you're doing. That's okay. Chosen ones are rarely understood at first. Your walk is not meant to make sense to everyone. You are not here to be universally accepted. You are here to be authentic. You are here to be aligned. You are here to be free. And sometimes, freedom looks like walking away from what others still cling to. That's not arrogance, that's courage. The courage to leave behind what no longer supports your soul. The courage to stop pretending. The courage to say, I'm ready, even if you don't feel it fully yet. Because your readiness isn't measured by your confidence. It's measured by your willingness to say yes, even with shaking hands. You're not alone on this path. Even when it feels lonely, even when the world around you seems asleep, you are never truly walking it by yourself. Other chosen ones are rising. Quietly, powerfully. Some are further ahead, some are just beginning. But they are out there, and the more you say yes, the more you will begin to find them. You'll recognize them, not always by their words, but by their energy. It will feel like home. It will feel like remembering. And together, you'll rise. Together, you'll shine. Together, you'll help open doors for others. Because this movement is not about one person's light. It's about collective illumination. When heaven opens a door, it's never just for one. It's for all who are ready to walk through it. Let the world be as it is. Let others do as they will. You have a different assignment. You are being called to step into a new way of living, a way that flows with grace, operates through love, and builds upon truth. You may not feel ready, but you are. You may not see the whole vision yet, but you're in it. You may not have all the answers, but you have the invitation. And that invitation is sacred. It's personal. It's divine. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You only need to say yes. There comes a moment, once you've walked through the door, where everything slows down. It's not the calm before the storm. It's the calm after awakening. This isn't about ease or comfort. It's about clarity. The noise begins to fade. The distractions that used to consume your mind lose their grip. You start seeing through things, not with judgment, but with understanding. You understand why certain people could never meet you where you were. You understand why some doors stayed closed for so long. You understand why the wait was necessary. And most importantly, you begin to understand yourself. The illusions start to fall away. You're not who you were, and you're not quite who you'll be. You're in the in-between, but you're not lost. You're becoming. In this space, transformation is subtle, but powerful. You start choosing differently, not because you were told to, but because your soul is no longer drawn to what once fed your fear. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You don't chase things the way you used to. Your energy becomes more sacred. You notice who drains it and who restores it. You become intentional with your time, your thoughts, your boundaries, and people might not understand this version of you. Some will say you've changed. Some will feel uncomfortable around your truth. But what they call change is really returning. You are returning to your essence. You are remembering your origin. And when you walk in that kind of alignment, the world has no choice but to shift around you. There is a loneliness that sometimes accompanies growth, not because you're unloved, but because you're moving into a space that fewer people occupy. It's a quieter space, a more conscious one, and at times it can feel isolating. But let that be a reminder that what you're doing is rare. Let it affirm the magnitude of your journey. Not everyone is ready to walk this path. That doesn't make them bad. It makes them human. But you didn't come here just to be human. You came here to embody the divine through your humanity. And that takes courage. It takes sacrifice. It takes surrender. You're not just living for comfort anymore. You're living for purpose. And purpose will strip away what is false before it reveals what is true. Sometimes, after walking through the door, things seem to fall apart before they come together. That's part of the process. Old structures collapse. Identities you once relied on begin to dissolve. You may feel like everything familiar is slipping away, but don't panic. That's the old timeline breaking down. You can't carry it with you into this new reality. You're not being punished. You're being repositioned. The very ground beneath you is shifting to make space for the new foundation. Let it shift. Let what's shaky crumble. Let what's heavy fall away. The only things that remain will be the things aligned with your higher path. The more you walk this path, the more sensitive you become. Not weak, but aware. You start to feel everything more deeply. Beauty, sorrow, synchronicity, silence. Your heart opens in ways it never has before. You feel the world's pain, but you also feel its potential. You begin to understand that healing doesn't come from fixing others. It comes from embodying wholeness, yourself. Your life becomes your message, not your words, not your achievements, but the energy you carry. People feel it before they understand it. That's the frequency you now emit. It speaks louder than anything you say, and that is how change begins. Quietly, energetically, truthfully. The chosen ones are not chosen to dominate. They are chosen to serve, but in a higher way. Service doesn't mean martyrdom. It doesn't mean self-sacrifice at the expense of your own well-being. It means living in such a way that your truth lights the way for others. It means being so deeply aligned that your presence creates safety, clarity, and inspiration for those still searching for the door. This is sacred leadership, not through power, but through example, not through control, but through embodiment. And it starts by showing up for yourself fully, by living in integrity when no one is watching, by honoring your path, even when it doesn't make sense to anyone else. The world is full of voices trying to tell you who to be, but the door that heaven opened wasn't for the version of you that pleases everyone. It was for the version that listens inward, that obeys the quiet guidance, that says no when it needs to, that rests without guilt, that shines without apology. You've spent enough time performing. Now is the time to be, purely, fully, and courageously. That doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means you no longer let fear steer the ship. You walk with it, beside it, not behind it. And as you walk, fear loses its power. Doubt fades in the face of devotion. You are no longer driven by fear of what might go wrong, but pulled by the vision of what is meant to go right. The divine doesn't expect perfection. It simply invites you to show up, even when you're unsure, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel qualified. The door that opened wasn't based on merit. It was based on readiness, not surface readiness, but soul readiness. Your soul said yes, long before your mind caught up. That yes echoed through dimensions and called down the alignment you're now stepping into. So don't second guess what you've already been chosen for. You don't need to hustle your way into it. You only need to align with it. When you're in alignment, things flow, not without effort, but without resistance. What used to feel uphill now becomes supported. What used to feel scattered now becomes centered. This is the shift you've been waiting for. You were never meant to beg for crumbs when you were born to carry light. You were never meant to stay small, to make others comfortable. You were never meant to live in survival when your soul was designed for purpose. So if life starts to feel too tight, too boxed in, too repetitive, it's not because you're failing, it's because you're expanding. And expansion requires space. It requires stretching. It requires discomfort. But beyond that discomfort is destiny. And that destiny is unfolding now. You don't have to chase it. You only have to say yes to it. Again, and again, and again. This is a sacred unfolding, and it won't always make sense, but it will always feel true. When you walk this path, you begin to see that everything is connected. Nothing was wasted. No moment, no heartbreak, no delay. It was all part of the design. And now you get to live from a higher timeline, a version of life where you are guided, supported, and divinely led. Not because you did everything right, but because you were willing to rise. As you continue through this sacred passage, a new energy begins to settle within you. It's not loud, it's not boastful, it's a quiet power, like the hum of the earth beneath your feet. This power doesn't come from anything outside, it comes from presence, from simply allowing yourself to be fully here, fully alive, fully aware. When heaven opens a door, it invites you into this state, not to escape reality, but to transform your experience of it. Your awareness sharpens. The way you perceive time shifts. You begin to see how the past no longer holds you, how the future doesn't intimidate you, because you're beginning to understand that true power lives in the present moment. There is no rush in the divine plan. What is yours is not just waiting for you, it is moving toward you as you align. And as you continue to walk this path, you'll notice more and more how alignment creates acceleration. Not chaos, not overwhelm, but expansion. A natural rhythm begins to form. Days don't just pass, they unfold. Conversations don't just happen, they activate. Encounters are no longer random. They are sacred intersections. This is not magical thinking. This is divine flow. And the more you surrender to that flow, the more you'll see that nothing needs to be forced. What is truly for you will meet you at your vibration, not your effort. That doesn't mean there won't be challenges. Walking through the door doesn't remove adversity. It redefines your relationship to it. You stop seeing pain as punishment and begin to see it as initiation. You understand that every challenge is an invitation to go deeper. Deeper into trust. Deeper into self-awareness. Deeper into your calling. Resistance still comes, but it no longer derails you. You learn to move with it, to witness it, to sit with it without being consumed by it. Because something inside you has changed. The fire that once burned through you now warms and strengthens you. It becomes your anchor. There may be moments when your old life tries to call you back. Familiar patterns, people, places that once had power over you will reappear, not as temptation, but as a test. Can you hold your new frequency when the old one shows up? Can you remain in your knowing when your emotions waver? Can you choose your higher self even when your wounded self screams for comfort? These are sacred thresholds. They aren't there to break you. They're there to fortify you. Because the chosen ones are not just guided, they are refined. And refinement doesn't always feel good. It stretches you, it confronts you, but it also clears the way for your highest expression to emerge. There is a deep responsibility that comes with walking through a divine door. Not a heavy burden, but a sacred agreement. You are now walking as a bridge. between the seen and the unseen, the spiritual and the physical, the eternal and the temporary. You are not here to escape the world. You are here to elevate it through your presence, through your energy, through your being. That means showing up differently, speaking differently, choosing differently, not out of obligation, but out of reverence for the path you've been entrusted with. You are not here to fix the world. You are here to be the frequency that reminds others of their own power to shift. The chosen ones are often misunderstood, not because they are confusing, but because they are clear, and clarity is confronting to those still living in illusion. Don't let that discourage you. Your clarity is a gift. Not everyone will receive it. That's okay. You're not here for everyone. You're here for those whose souls recognize your light, whose journeys are meant to intersect with yours. And that recognition will happen in ways you can't plan or predict. It might be in a glance, a conversation, a message. When you walk in truth, your very existence becomes a signal, silent to the world, but loud to the soul. There will be days when you feel like nothing is happening. No signs, no guidance, no movement. Don't mistake silence for stagnation. Sometimes the most important shifts happen beneath the surface. Like seeds in the soil, your growth is not always visible, but it is always happening. Trust that. Don't dig up your faith because you're impatient for proof. Keep walking. Keep trusting. Keep showing up. The door you walked through is not closing behind you. It's expanding in front of you. Each step you take opens new realms. Realms of opportunity. Realms of healing. Realms of revelation. You are not just walking a path. You are creating it through your devotion. Eventually, you begin to feel a shift in how you relate to time. You stop obsessing over deadlines, milestones, outcomes. You move differently, with intention, with presence, with peace. You understand that you're not late, you're not behind. You are exactly where you need to be for what is unfolding. That understanding alone unlocks a deep sense of trust. And from that trust, your true power emerges. Not the power to control, but the power to co-create. Not the power to dominate, but the power to align. This is the way of the chosen. They don't force, they flow. They don't grasp, they receive. And even as things change around you, even as you rise into new levels of purpose and awareness, you will be grounded, not in fear, not in the past, but in presence. The more you anchor into this moment, the more support you feel from the unseen. It comes in ways you can't explain. Unexpected provision, encouragement from strangers, timely messages, unshakable peace. These are signs that the divine is walking with you, not in front of you, not behind you, but beside you, step by step, breath by breath. This walk is not one of perfection. You will have moments of doubt, moments where the old you tries to resurface, moments where the world tries to tempt you back into smallness. Let them come. Let them pass. The truth is, you're not the same. Even if you return to an old pattern for a moment, it won't feel the same. You'll recognize the misalignment quicker. You'll return to center faster. That's progress. That's growth. And it means the work is working. Everything is energy now. Every choice, every word, every thought becomes part of the path you're walking. That doesn't mean living in fear of missteps. It means living in awareness. With awareness, you become deliberate. Not rigid, not fearful. Deliberate. You know that your energy is sacred. You know that your time is valuable. You know that your presence is powerful. And with that knowing, you begin to take up space in a way that blesses others. Not because you're trying to, but because it's who you are. This is not a phase. This is a becoming. You are no longer who you were, and the world you are walking into will reflect that. The people, opportunities, and revelations that greet you from this point forward will mirror your inner elevation. You are not here to repeat cycles. You are here to initiate new ones. You are not here to fit into the system. You are here to build something higher, and the foundation is already under your feet. There's a shift that happens when you fully settle into the awareness that you've already walked through the door. It's no longer about seeking signs, wondering if you're on the path, or doubting your intuition. Something solidifies. It's not pride, it's presence. You are present with your purpose, present with your mission, present with the moment. And in that presence, you gain access to something few ever reach: spiritual authority. Not the kind that controls others, but the kind that commands alignment. It radiates from you quietly, powerfully. You no longer need to defend who you are. You don't argue with ignorance. You don't explain your journey to those who haven't walked a step in your shoes. You simply live it. You embody it. And your energy does the rest. In this space, you begin to realize that the door you walked through didn't just change your direction, it changed your dimension. You are no longer living from the logic of limitation. You are no longer confined to linear progress. Things move differently now. Time bends, manifestations accelerate, connections deepen quickly. It's not magic, it's alignment. And that alignment is born from the deep work you've done in silence. The moments no one saw, the tears, the breaking, the shedding. That was the unlocking. That was the initiation. And now that you've passed through, life starts to respond to the new frequency you carry. Don't be surprised when people respond to you differently. Some will feel magnetized by your energy and not understand why. Others will distance themselves without explanation. This is energetic sorting. Nothing personal. It's simply vibration, recognizing vibration. The door you walked through filtered your frequency. It elevated you. And elevation naturally shifts everything around you. What's no longer resonant falls away. What's aligned finds its way to you effortlessly. This is not abandonment. This is alignment. And alignment requires trust. Trust that what leaves is clearing space for what truly belongs. You begin to notice how much more efficient your energy becomes. You don't tolerate what drains you. You don't engage in cycles that repeat. You don't try to convince people to see your value. That's not arrogance, it's sovereignty. You understand that your worth is not up for negotiation. You no longer seek permission to shine. You realize that humility doesn't mean shrinking, it means being grounded in truth. The chosen ones don't play small to make others feel secure. They walk in their full truth so others can remember their own. And that remembrance is contagious. That's the light work. As you live in this higher state, you'll start to speak differently. You'll pause more, listen more, respond instead of react. You'll feel energy behind words. You'll discern motives without needing explanations. Your soul will speak louder than your voice, and your presence will start healing rooms you walk into, just by being. Not because you try to fix anyone, but because you've healed yourself. You've faced the shadow. You've danced with the dark. And you've chosen to rise, again and again. That rise is encoded in your energy. People feel it. Even if they don't have the language for it, they'll feel safer around you, more open, more real, and they won't even know why. That's the mark of someone who has walked through heaven's door. They carry peace that isn't explainable. It's felt. But the work doesn't stop here. This isn't the end of the journey. It's a new beginning. With every new level comes new lessons, new stretching, new thresholds. You'll be asked to lead, not just live. You'll be asked to model authenticity, not just speak about it. The divine didn't open the door for your comfort. It opened it for your commission. You are here to plant seeds of awakening. Sometimes through words, sometimes through silence, sometimes through simply choosing differently. You are here to interrupt the patterns of pain that have been passed down through generations. That is sacred work, and it's not always celebrated, but it is always worth it. Your environment may shift. You may be called to move physically, to release long-standing ties, to step away from identities that no longer serve you. Don't resist the call. When heaven opens a door, it often leads you into unfamiliar territory. But it's unfamiliar for a reason. It's new. And new means full of potential, full of promise, full of presence. You don't need a map when you have alignment. Let your spirit lead. Let your soul speak. Let the divine design unfold without needing to control it. There will be moments when you're given glimpses of what's to come. Visions, ideas, sudden insights that feel like flashes of your future self. Hold them lightly. Don't chase them. Instead, align with them. Become the version of you that already lives in that future reality. Embody the energy. Make decisions from that place. Speak from that place. Move from that place. And what once felt distant will begin to arrive more quickly than you imagined. Not because you forced it, but because you matched it. That's how manifestation works in the realm you now walk. You'll also begin to notice a deeper kind of joy, not surface-level happiness, but joy rooted in soul peace. It's not dependent on conditions. It doesn't vanish in hard times. It's steady, like a drumbeat beneath the noise of the world. This joy is your compass. When you feel it, follow it. When it's absent, pause and realign. You no longer need to chase what doesn't feel right. Your body will tell you. Your energy will show you. Trust it. Trust yourself. That inner knowing is the voice of the divine, customized for your journey. This chapter of your life is sacred. Don't rush it. Don't compare it. Don't water it down to make it easier to explain. Not everyone will understand the magnitude of what you're living through. That's okay. This was never about mass approval. This was about divine alignment. You're not here to convince the world. You're here to change the atmosphere. Quietly, authentically, powerfully. Through your walk, through your choices, through your light. You were never meant to walk this path in fear. Yes, it's unfamiliar. Yes, it's sometimes isolating, but it is divinely guided. The door didn't open to confuse you. It opened to liberate you from fear, from limitation, from cycles you were never meant to live inside. You are now a vessel of what's possible, a living portal. Your life is becoming the evidence of what happens when someone says yes to the unknown. And that evidence will ripple outward. It already is. There comes a point in the journey where you no longer question the door you walked through. You no longer seek constant signs or need external validation. You no longer look around for proof that you've changed, because you know. It lives in your being. It moves in your breath. It echoes in your choices. This knowing isn't loud. It's still, like water running deep beneath the surface. You walk differently. You listen more than you speak. You understand that silence holds more truth than noise. And you carry that silence with you into every space, not to be distant, but to be present, fully, deeply, powerfully. The kind of presence that shifts rooms, that calms chaos, that commands nothing, but transforms everything. You no longer need to defend your light. You don't argue with shadows. You don't chase people who don't see you. You don't force connections. You bless them. You release them. And you move forward. not out of coldness, but from clarity. You know what you carry. You understand what it cost you to reach this space. The dark nights, the deaths and rebirths, the dismantling of everything you thought you needed. You walked through all of it. Not perfectly, not easily, but faithfully. And that faith created space. Space for the divine to move. Space for your true self to rise. Space for your destiny to take root in something real. Now your life is your prayer. Every step, every word, every breath. It's an offering. Not to prove your worth, but to honor it. You no longer measure success by numbers, applause, or recognition. You measure it by peace, by alignment, by the presence of the divine in your daily life. You notice the quiet beauty, the wind in the trees, the way your body exhales when you're in the right place. These are the moments that matter now, not because they're big, but because they're real. You've had enough of the surface. You've tasted something deeper, and once you've tasted that depth, you can never return to shallowness. This door that heaven opened is not just a passage, it's a covenant, a soul agreement that stretches beyond this lifetime. You're now walking a legacy path, the kind that doesn't just affect you, but everyone connected to you. Your healing becomes generational. Your awakening becomes a signal across timelines. You start noticing how your presence shifts dynamics, how your peace softens conflict, how your alignment activates those around you without saying a word. This is spiritual maturity, not needing to be seen, but being seen anyway. Not needing to prove your value, but having it recognized through vibration alone. You'll be called upon to lead, not with ego, but with essence. To hold space for others, not because you've figured it all out, but because you've made peace with not needing to. You don't offer answers. You offer presence. You offer compassion. You offer truth, not in the form of facts, but in the form of embodied frequency. That's what the chosen ones are here for. Not to control others, but to liberate them. Not to shout over the noise, but to speak from stillness. And the stillness becomes the sanctuary. You become the sanctuary. You realize that the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more truth. Not the kind that demands, but the kind that resonates. The kind that doesn't pull others into pressure, but lifts them into possibility. You become a living invitation, not to copy you, but to remember themselves. And that remembrance spreads, quietly, radically. The world begins to change, not through force, but through frequency. You're part of that frequency now. You carry it wherever you go. And it's not something you try to do, it's who you've become. There is nothing more to chase. There is only the next unfolding, and you meet it with grace, with trust, with openness. You know now that the divine doesn't need you to strive, it only needs you to stay present. The door is not a one-time event. It is a continuous invitation. Every day, every moment, every breath. Another chance to choose truth. Another moment to align. Another step deeper into purpose. The more you answer the call, the quieter it gets. Not because it fades, but because you've integrated it. You don't need the loud voice anymore. You've become the voice. This journey is not about reaching the top. It's about becoming whole. You may still face challenges. You may still meet resistance. But you meet them from a different place now. From wholeness, from rootedness, from the knowing that you are not alone, that you are not behind, that you are exactly where you're meant to be. You walk with a calm certainty, and the world notices. Without explanation, without performance, people begin to feel it. They don't know why, but they trust you. They lean into your presence. And when they ask, what changed? You won't have to explain. You'll simply be, and your being will say everything. So now, chosen one, take a breath. Feel the weight you've laid down. Feel the ground beneath you. New ground, sacred ground. You're no longer walking through life. You're walking in purpose. Let every moment from this point forward be an offering to that purpose. Let your life speak what your voice cannot. Let your silence echo truth. Let your light be the quiet revolution. You don't need to do anything more. You've said yes. You've walked through the door, and heaven is walking with you, always.